Kia ora everyone, my name is Collart Miles and I'm a practicing Agile coach based in Auckland, New Zealand. Recently McKinsey published an article which makes the case for companies that are adopting Agile at scale to grow their own coaching talent. And I think that their sort of position is, look, if you're going to do this at scale, the role of an Agile coach is incredibly important, and I don't think there's too much disagreement with that. A lot of consensus that when you're adopting a practice that requires a totally different mental model than was there before, you could really benefit from, or the learning is accelerated when you have a guide next to you to just help you kind of navigate through the complexities. Where they did cause or kick up a little bit of a controversy is sort of towards the end of the article, and I'll post the link down below. They suggested that one of the reasons why you should grow your own is that the community around you doesn't necessarily have the number of Agile coaches available. So like the demand outstrips supply. And this has caused a bit of controversy because their suggestion is, of course, a 12-week McKinsey accelerated learning course that you can put your own staff people through to turn them into coaches. Why is that controversial? So I've been kind of reflecting on that, having been through a transformation process with one of New Zealand's top 4 banks. We spent 3 years going through the sort of deep and sensitive work of enacting a change like this, and eventually, which saw the establishment of 9 tribes with roughly 80 to 100 people in each. So it's quite a large-scale adoption, and we had McKinsey consultants on site as partners. And in my opinion, in many ways, they were really invaluable. They were assets to the process. Where I thought they were running into or running beyond their kind of domain of core competency is with Agile coaching itself. Now, kind of pulling out that comment around the demand is outstripping supply, I think that's a reality we all need to be facing into. And the coaching community needs to really acknowledge that, that currently the number of practitioners out there and the depth and breadth, because it's been a pretty nascent or early stage type of role. This is an emergent role that really only came about in the last decade or less. It's still struggling to find its identity and its role, so it hasn't really normalized. It's still pretty. There's a pretty high variety of practitioners out there that have strengths in lots of different dimensions. There have been attempts by frontrunners like Lisa Atkins and IC Agile to start to codify what the role of the Agile coach actually looks like and the dimensions. They put a lot of time and energy in. They're organizations that have led the movement and generated a lot of practitioners out there to help kind of form those opinions. So I think there's some really good things coming through, and I would highly recommend looking into the competency framework, Agile Coach competency framework that Lisa Atkins has put together. So with that sort of said, I guess, would it be fair, I just want to offer this into the controversy, right? Not to cause more controversy, but just to kind of help kind of establish a bit of a wider frame. We've been wanting organizations to adopt better practices for ages, and for most of us that were attracted to Agile practices, we felt that they sucked less than the other things, than the other methods out there. I don't think that we've peaked yet, and I still think that there's more to learn and there's more to discover about applying some of those principles and sort of generating a new way of operating, a new way of being in a community where business plays a strong and positive role. So I think there's still so much more to learn. We've only really started that, or got to the very, very beginnings of those insights. And we're sharing those insights insights rapidly with anybody who will lean in. So my immediate response, this is probably just a stream of consciousness around it, but my immediate my intuition is sort of saying, let's embrace the new practitioners. Let's break out and form the network. It's experiencing an unprecedented growth. There are more people that they're calling themselves agile practitioners than ever before. It's on an exponential curve, and that's clear. I think that large businesses are strapped for options, and I would completely support growing internal. And I think this has been a standard part of most coaches' toolboxes and strategies is to encourage organizations to grow their internal talent, that to soften their dependency on outside consultancies and pseudo experts to come in from the outside and to grow your inside. So I think this is actually quite a novel step by a big consultancy like McKinsey, and in a way, in some ways starts to immunize businesses from outside expertise, and the reason why I say that is agile is by its nature, or it should be, if you're doing it right, I think, give you the elements of a learning organization, of a rapidly learning organization. And a rapidly learning organization is voraciously curious, and it will go out and find and investigate and master and absorb ideas faster than any consultants can give it. So it will change the face of consulting. So in some ways, I think that it's quite a powerful step for a company like McKinsey to step in and start to behave in accordance with a new rule set. I think the game of business has shifted, and they're finally responding to that. And I think we will see, or we have seen, elements of that in many of the bigger consultancies like PwC, Deloitte, Ernst & Young are all showing signs of adopting different practices and different offerings for their client bases. So my kind of questions back to the Agile coaching community, the ones that have been carrying this mantle for so long, I'm curious about what will happen next if we lean in and support the responsible adoption of these principles. And I agree, I am concerned about the misappropriation and the exploitation, the fear-mongering, like you can't do this, things will go horribly wrong, and what you need is our 12-step easy program. So I do agree that there are things to be concerned about. But in most of these sort of complex changes that happen, one of the stances I would suggest is, as a coaching community, is to lean towards transparency. Good ideas can come from anywhere, even large traditional consultancies like McKinsey. So I wonder if we're at risk of dismissing their commentary too quickly. And perhaps the wiser position would be to really properly consider what they're actually proposing and lean into it.